So what I'd like you to do is just go ahead and get comfortable, shift around if you need to. Make sure that you have some support behind your back, that your head will be supported so it doesn't flop over one way or another and give you a sprained neck. And what I'd like you to do next is kind of notice that if your head is generally facing forward, if you were to leave your head facing forward, but if your eyes were to lift up a little bit, you might find in front of you, maybe on the wall in front of you or somewhere else, you might find a spot that you could just look at. Not necessarily anything that's particularly exciting, just maybe a little dimple in the wall or a place where there's a calendar. I'd like you to just take a moment to fix your eyes on that point of focus. And a part of you might be worried about blinking or trying to stare, and there's no need for that. Just fix your eyes on that spot. Blink if you need to blink without moving your eyes off of that spot. And while holding your eyes on that spot, you can begin to notice that you can deepen your breathing a little bit. Perhaps deepening the in, and maybe even sighing a little bit on the out. Just letting that breathing deepen as you discover that the longer you stare at that spot, the more relaxed your breath can let you be. Breathing in and out. And you'll begin to notice as your breathing begins to shift your body to a new place, how you might notice the strain beginning in the eyes. That you discover looking at that spot just seems to lead to this heavy sensation in those eyelids. And perhaps even how relaxing it can be each time you blink, so that the eyes enjoy staying down just a millisecond more than before. Continuing to breathe in and out, letting that desire for the eyes to close to grow. Enjoying those blinks more and more, while keeping more and more of your mind focused on that spot. And continuing to focus on that spot while the body continues to relax. The face begins to relax. You can notice an interesting idea, perhaps, that you could always continue looking at that spot, even if your eyes closed. And maybe you'd even want to sample that, letting those eyelids close slowly down and continue to see that spot through your eyelids. That's right. Noticing how that shift seems to flow down the neck, perhaps into the shoulders, and how as you continue to enjoy those eyelids staying closed, that enjoyment already has begun to travel with the breath to all parts of your body. And maybe even now, letting those eyes experience the same relaxation as the eyelids, just letting those eyes float to whatever position feels most comfortable. Now, in, out, that never-ending cycle of the breath, almost seeming to carry you now, almost as if you might have a sensation of floating or down with each breath. That sense of gently drifting along each and every breath, helping more and more of your body, your mind, just let go. That's right. And I don't know if you find yourself feeling that floating up sensation, or maybe you find yourself having that sense of floating down. I do know that as each breath relaxes you, you can find yourself having a deeper and deeper sense of just letting go of everything that's not needed at this moment. The sounds just helping you go even further into this place, almost like the storms that can roll in, the rain that can patter down, the gentle thunder that lets you know the air is being cleansed, refreshened. The earth is being cleansed, freshened. You can continue to let your body cleanse and freshen itself, one muscle at a time, one cell at a time. Perhaps feeling that freshness of a fresh rain flowing in with the breath in. Feel that rain carrying away the extra junk and gunk and dirt with every breath out. Continuing to notice any need to shift and resettle, relax and let go, letting your body become more and more comfortable. And you can almost imagine that experience of sitting on a deck during a pleasant spring storm, or perhaps walking through a heavily wooded area where you can continue to hear the rain landing on the roof or on the leaves above you as you walk or sit in this perfectly dry place. And the smell that comes in the air. We know as adults that smell is ozone. But as a kid, it just meant things are being renewed right now. Letting this penetrate down deep into each and every cell. Each breath carrying this sense of renewal to the point where you could almost imagine sitting here, that this sense of renewal was flowing into you and being carried by your lungs to your heart, and your heart spreading this through the entire body. You could almost imagine a light flowing down, perhaps flowing into your head with the breath coming in and swirling around, washing, gently cleansing, gently refreshing, cell by cell, every cell in the head, in the neck, the shoulders, cell by cell, each cell being scrubbed clean. And you might even have the sense as it washes through the muscles, as it washes through and around the organs, the way that each and every breath gently strips off any unnecessary fat cells. Just helps those fat cells release their storage, where the rain can just wash it away. That's right. The coolness of the refreshing sounds, scents, the temperature of the air gently flowing across, all enhance this sense inside, this knowledge that your body is moving forward even as we speak. And perhaps you begin to notice a sensation as this rain penetrates down to the stomach, penetrates down the throat, down into the intestines. Another sensation rising up, one that is both familiar, but now you notice with a sense of excitement, or perhaps just curiosity. This sensation we will call healthy hunger. Healthy hunger. And isn't it interesting how in a place like this, at a time like this, something can seem so clear and so helpful that might have been hidden or obscured before? That hunger is a healthy thing. Hunger, a signal from your body to your brain that it's begun to burn fat cells instead of food. Hunger, a message to celebrate as a sign that right now, the longer I'm hungry, the more extra fat can be carried out of my body in a way. And isn't that interesting? That even though we might be thinking this for the first time, a part of us has known it all along. Like that old saying I first heard from a grandmother's grandmother, that hunger is a sign you are doing well. Something that confused me at that time. Almost as confused as when I first heard that French saying, hunger is the best sauce. Hunger is the best sauce. It took me a long time to realize that meant I want to be hungry before each meal in order to enhance the pleasure of each bite of food. Hunger is the best sauce. Hungry does help me enhance my pleasure, both of food and of other parts of life. Hungry is a signal that you are doing well and your body is burning off the unnecessary extras. So my goal becomes to feel that hunger, to celebrate that hunger, to welcome that hunger. My goal is to get hungry every day and eat in such a way that I get hungry sooner rather than later. That's right. I can feed my body, and I don't need to feed my fat cells. My fat cells are happier when they have no work to do, when their warehouse is empty. Eating now becomes about the taste not the quantity. And I find hunger is served better if I let myself savor this juicy, wonderful bite till every bit of taste is gone before I swallow. And that I can eat in such a way that I'm still hungry when I'm done. The job of eating is not to turn the hunger signal off. I can find myself stepping away from the plate while I still have hunger, knowing that my stomach will finish processing food later in maybe 10-15 minutes, and it'll turn off the hunger signal then. I don't need to do that now. And isn't it interesting that science now knows that when we let our hunger be in between meals instead of rushing to eat, we actually improve the strength of the connections of the dendrites in our brain. That our brain functions better if we regularly let hunger rise up and wait for food. And I remember the woman who told me that she had discovered that hunger was a type of free liposuction. That when she let herself be hungry, her body could go to those places that had too much and suck that away instead of having to pay some doctor to do it. And this makes sense because we know being overweight is inconsistent with feeling really good. Being overweight is inconsistent with feeling really good. And I choose to feel hunger now so that I can feel really good the rest of my life. That's right. I can choose to feel hungry now so that I can choose to feel really good for the rest of my life. Because it's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to love yourself enough to let yourself be hungry. It's okay to put your body ahead of your appetite. It's okay to put your future ahead of your appetite. And isn't it nice to know, as this new meaning of hunger sinks in, as this rain washes my insides clean, to think ahead to the point where I have been honoring my hunger and listening to it for 2 months, perhaps 3 months. And what that feels like then, to have this body that can do more, that can feel more pleasure, to have this tongue that has experienced enough hunger, it can enjoy every bite and doesn't need a whole bunch of bites anymore. What that will be like 2 months or 3 months from now as I continue to let myself be hungry instead of trying to chase that hunger away. What that might feel like in my shoulders, in my back, in my belly, on the scale, as I realize day in and day out that I want to be hungry before each meal to enhance my pleasure. That hunger is a signal that I am doing well, and I can celebrate that I am burning fat. I might even feel the urge every time I'm hungry to get up and move a little more, to let my body burn just a little bit more fat. That I really, at this point, after 2 months, 3 months, just fully understand those French who say hunger is the best sauce. And isn't it nice to discover hunger is my friend? My goal is to get hungry every day and eat in such a way I get hungry sooner rather than later. Eating in such a way that I am still hungry when I'm done, instead of waiting to be overfull. Eating in such a way that more and more I can experience the hunger that increases my brain functioning. That I can give myself that gift of free liposuction, knowing deep down this extra fat is inconsistent with feeling really good. Notice that feeling of floating that comes from these messages sinking deep down, deep inside, where they will pop up into my mind at the strangest times. Noticing the sensation of floating as these signals become a part of your unconscious, acting in the background, celebrating, so that you don't need willpower anymore for that. That each and every time a thought pops up about, I need to satisfy my hunger with this food or with that taste, my unconscious and your unconscious can step right in, wash that thought away with a sense of feeling good about letting this hunger go a little longer. Isn't it nice to know that as you find yourself beginning to search after you enter the house, looking for that item to put in your mouth, how these sensations of celebration at hunger can rise up and seem to just wash those urges away and replace them, perhaps, with the urge to stretch, with the urge to walk, with the urge to reach out and say hello to someone, with oh so many urges that let you celebrate the hunger and move to a life of feeling really good. With those thoughts in mind and letting those thoughts sink to whatever level they need to go to be there to act with your will, to move you towards that better life, that better body, that better sense of pleasure in your life. In a moment, I will count from 1 to 5, and as I count from 1 to 5, really feel these messages anchoring themselves into each and every part of you, so that your entire being celebrates this decision to move forward with life. By the time I get to 5, finding yourself awake, alert, and refreshed. 1. Really noticing the joy of hunger, the joy of saying yes to life. 2. That sense of all parts of you understanding now, hearing and understanding the value of hunger in moving you forward to a better life. 3, finding yourself beginning to shift and become aware of both these thoughts in your mind, but also your body there where you're sitting. 4, beginning to shift and move, stretch, perhaps yawning a little bit. And 5, taking a big deep breath in, eyes open, wide awake, refreshed.